You can remove the Marks Mortise deadbolt lock by first opening your door and locating the two outermost screws, the one at the very bottom and the very top. Those are the screws that hold the lock body to the door itself. So using a regular Phillips tip screwdriver, a number 2 preferably, remove the upper and lower screws from the lock and set those aside. We'll use those later when we reinstall the Marks lock. Your next step is going to be to locate the set screw, which is on the inside of the handle set. Now, if your door doesn't have the unilock faceplate, in other words, if it has just a cylinder in the bottom and a knob or a handle at the top, yours will have 2 screws, one here and one at the top. Remove those, and that will allow the handles to become separate from the lock body itself. So we'll remove this pin, and if you look, there's a pin that goes through to the other side. So now that our handles are free, we need to remove the cylinders on each side to enable us to get the lock body out and get the handles off completely. Now this part's very important. There's 2 set screws, one here and one here. Those screws drive a tiny screw. This is a separate cylinder. They drive a tiny screw into the groove into the edge of the cylinder to prevent somebody from twisting the cylinder out. So what you'll do is you'll back these set screws out just until they're flush with the surface of the brass plate. But do not remove those 2 screws. It's not necessary. It's very difficult to put those screws back in if you do remove them all the way. So let's just back those out so they're flush or just slightly beyond the edge of the plate. At this point, your cylinders are going to be removable, and these cylinders are threaded in. As I showed you with this cylinder, the separate cylinder, there's threads that go along the cylinder. Using a key, but not the key that you normally use, a different key works better because you don't want the keyway turning. You'll insert the key and simply rotate the entire cylinder. And notice how that entire cylinder is turning, and we'll remove the cylinder from the lock body. Okay, and there is a ring on there, a little ring and a nylon bushing. You'll want to keep those in place. So go ahead and do that for both sides. Now see, in this case here, you don't want the keys turning in there. You'll want to use a different key that fits the keyway but doesn't turn the keyway. And then we're going to rotate the cylinder. Notice how that's rotating there. And we'll remove the cylinder from the handle. Okay, now be careful at this point that you don't drop the handles and the hardware because everything is loose. Now the handles simply come off. There are axles in each of the handles, usually on a spring, and you want to make sure those stay intact. So at this point now, our lock body is free of the door itself, and the reason it's a mortise lock is because the lock is like a mortise joint. It slides out of the enclosure itself. So this is your lock body, and many times you'll have a lock guard or something similar to this black one that's on here. You want to make sure that that goes back where it belongs on the door when you do the reinstallation.